Hello, everybody. We will go ahead and get started. All right. I call to order the meeting of the World Campus Student Government Association on Tuesday, December the 1st, 2020 at 8 p.m. Eastern. The chair recognizes Madam Secretary, who will now proceed with roll call of the assembly.
It does not look like we're at quorum.
Thank you very much. I move to call for an adoption of the agenda for any last minute agenda items. All in favor say aye.
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 All right. Are there any last minute agenda items at this time that anybody would like to bring to the table? Nothing? Okay. I move that the minutes from the previous meeting is approved as was electronically distributed. All in favor say aye. All not in favor say nay.
Aye.
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 The meeting minutes have been approved as electronically distributed. I move that we proceed to an open forum. Is there anything that anybody would like to discuss at this time? Nothing? All right. I move that we proceed to the executive board reports. The chair recognizes Mr. President.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. Hope you all are having a great holiday season here. Some brief updates on what I've been up to. On November 2nd, I met with the other student government leaders and their advisors to share our doings and discuss any collaborative initiatives that we can take upon ourselves. November 9th, I met with Carmina and Matt to discuss the technology resources legislation that we passed at the last assembly meeting. Stacy and I documented the first few major deliverables for the student government election process for next year. November 11th, I attended the Student Leaders Roundtable. There was a presentation by Dr. Matt Ferrari regarding his COVID-19 research. I provided a World Campus Student Government Association update to the student leaders that were in attendance. That same day, I met with the Student Affairs Senior Leadership. We discussed a Wellness Day impact for World Campus students. As of that particular meeting, only the co-chairs were identified for the programming committee. They did agree upon a 3-day model that was chosen for the Wellness Days. More information on that in a few. We also discussed student engagement and or collaborative tools to see if there were anything new that was being trialed and tested that they may have heard of. Things like utilizing utilizing the full capabilities of OrgSync and making it available to all campuses. We briefly discussed implementing a structured system for the responses from the administration following actions from our student governments. November 12th, I attended a Board of Trustees committee meeting for Academic Affairs Research and Student Life. There was a presentation by Dr. Ben Locke, who's the Senior Director of Counseling and Psychological Services. Met with him and various members of the CAP staff. They presented on student wellness, well-being, and mental health. And then on that same day, I also met with Jay, our Governmental Affairs Chair, to discuss some ideas he had for his committee work. November 13th, Stacy and I met with the chairman of the board, President Barron, and various members of the administration to discuss topics of concern. We all discussed the climate action petition resolution that we all passed. We discussed concerns with the student trustee selection process. We also discussed cross-campus course registration, which was tabled until the spring. Dr. Barron stated that, at least from an administrative focus at his level, that they just wanted to get through the spring semester with the COVID-19 pandemic and that they'd be interested in revisiting that at a later date. We did not get to all of our agenda items, unfortunately, such as the availability of technology resources, but I will be bringing that along to future meetings, perhaps with the senior administrators that we will be having here shortly this month. That day, I also attended the Board of Trustees meeting. I did have screenshots of Dr. Barron's presidential report, which I thought was really great to understand the enrollment and retention of students. However, I managed to break my phone, got locked out of everything for a week, and I didn't have those notes backed up. So I'll be recovering those shortly as soon as I fix my screen. November 30th, yesterday, Stacy and I attended the Wellness Day programming team launch meeting led by Dan Murphy of Student Orientation and Transition Programs. The goals are based around social wellness and emotional wellness. The 3 dates that were identified are February 9th. It's to cover occupational and financial wellness. March 11th will cover intellectual and spiritual wellness. April 7th will cover physical and environmental wellness. I'm serving on the subgroup that's responsible for occupational and financial wellness. There are 4 means of engaging students, faculty, and staff that the programming team is hoping to accomplish here. One being the you do you. You know what works best for you, whether that's self-meditation or something of that effect, to allow you those opportunities to do what you need to do to make sure you're well. Number 2 would be self-paced guided activities, small groups or individuals. They're thinking maybe like a curated podcast list, promoting LinkedIn learning, crafts, and cooking demos. The third thing is local events. They're looking at things local to the person. So the closest layer that you have to the university, whether that's office events for staff, campus managed events, and those types of things. The fourth thing is university-wide wellness program overall, with the intent to make it available to all Penn Staters to tune in, whether that's live synchronous events, cooking demos, mock interviews, movies, all kinds of things like that. We're not too far into the programming yet, but if you have any suggestions or anything, please let us know. We would love to take that and implement that into our work to get your perspective on how we can best reach World Campus students. And then today I tuned into the University Faculty Senate meeting. Things coming up on the radar. I have an alternative grading task force on tomorrow from 4 to 5. I'll update Bonnie on that shortly. Student Affairs reached out to me regarding student death notification. I'd like to see us get back onto the Night of Remembrance event that was postponed last year due to the pandemic. Rachel, we can meet sometime so that I can fill you in on where we left off with that. I also have a climate action strategy meeting to follow up on the resolution that we passed and the action steps that we can take as students and members of the Penn State community to kind of bring about that awareness. Have at least one student leaders roundtable meeting. The next one is going to be attended by President Barron, and I think he has some pretty interesting things to discuss that we kind of heard some rumors on. I have a meeting, Stacy and I have a meeting with the senior Penn State administrators in a week, and back to my to almost regularly scheduled meetings with Dr. Adams. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The chair recognizes Madam Vice President.
Hello, good evening. Thanks everyone for taking the time to meet with us this evening. I'm not going to repeat everything that Sean's already said. I can just add to that. In addition to the meetings that him and I both attended, I am on the student trustee election committee group, so I have been and continue to meet with them and do some training for that group. For the Wellness Days program team, I was placed on the intellectual and spiritual group. So Sean and I are both serving on 2 different groups for that. Let's see. That was it as far as the additional groups and teams that I was serving on. On November 12th, I also did the World Campus Student Affairs Club and organizational training that I usually do participate in yearly anyway. The World Campus Psychology Club is hosting the annual holiday event, and this is the second year they are putting their efforts towards Caitlin Smiles, which is out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. What they do is they serve children in hospitals through many states, mostly across the Eastern Seaboard. They offer them creative outlets when they are stuck in a hospital, and they have very limited resources this year due to COVID. So we are kind of joining them in the Psychology Club in their efforts as far as getting donations to Caitlin Smiles. We have a Amazon wish list that was started by the Psychology Club, and you can order things off of there or add to it. And then the donations go directly to Caitlin Smiles. Personally, I also have a little like monetary fundraiser that I'm raising some funds for. And I also have Caitlin Smiles' website, and I can share all that information in the chat. Other than that, that should be all that I have right now. I know that last month I mentioned about meeting with the committee, the different committees, and I do have full intention of doing that within the next week or two. So just please look for that event invite in your emails. That's all I had.
Thank you very much. So for my report, again, I'm reaching out to see if anybody's interested in filling my position for Speaker of the Assembly. Tonight is my last meeting and my position prior to graduating. So if there is some interest, please message me. I'll be sending out another email after this meeting tonight, just kind of going over the role and responsibilities of Speaker. So if you are at all interested or have any questions, please feel free to send me an email and I'd be happy to talk with you. I would ideally like to have somebody kind of geared and ready to take this position on so that I can spend the time just to kind of answer any questions about Robert's rules and just the process for running the meetings and what exactly your role entails. So that's all I have. The chair recognizes Madam Secretary.
Hi, everybody. I don't have anything to report tonight.
Thank you very much. The chair recognizes Mr. Treasurer.
I have nothing to report at this time.
All right. Thank you very much. At this time, I move that we proceed to our committee reports. The chair recognizes Madam Academic Affairs Chair. All right, I don't believe she's here at the moment, so we'll circle back around if she joins. The chair recognizes Mr. Marketing and Communications Chair.
Hey everyone. So the website, I did update the bios and pictures of what I got. I made individual meetings with my team. We had a meeting for the first time. It went great. Or new meetings, how they go. Hopefully when we have our next meeting, more team members will join. And then I would like to give a shout out for academic affairs that they completed all their bios and pictures. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. The chair recognizes Madam Student Affairs Chair.
Hi, everyone. So let's see. On November 1st, we held our first Student Affairs Committee meeting. We brainstormed some ideas for action items for the committee to work on. On November 14th, we held a second committee meeting. We discussed efforts in the areas of communication and information distribution. On November 14th, we also co-sponsored the CCSG game night. It was on relatively short notice. It basically was like the same day. She was like, hey, you want to co-sponsor? I said, yeah, let's jump in. So this next one's going to be more better prepared, but we played Among Us, Pictionary, and Cahoots. Stacy and Sean attended as well. We'll be co-sponsoring the next game night. That's going to be December 19th at 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. So you can put that on your calendars if you're interested, and we'll put it in the teams as well. November 19th, I met with Beth Bartuska and the Penn State Go mobile app people. They're very interested in our idea for adding a tab for each campus's student government association that would link to their website. So they basically told Beth and I to compile a list of websites, and they're just going to make it happen. So Beth took the lead on that. So she's putting together all that stuff, and we should have, hopefully that will be more moving forward then on getting that added to the Penn State Go app. So that'll be pretty cool. And let's see, our next Student Affairs Committee meeting is scheduled for Thursday night at 8:30. If you're on Student Affairs Committee, you don't have that communications, please email me, let me know so I can get you that link. And then we have a meeting, I have a meeting coming in, Mateusz on Friday to talk about the mobile app stuff. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. The chair recognizes Madam Technology Chair.
Hi, everyone. Great to see everyone. Let's see. Just to recap from last meeting, on November 5th, Matt and I met with Fred Haberberger, and thank you so much to Dr. Adams and to Mary Ohashi for facilitating the meeting. We discussed equal access to technology resources for World Campus students. He was very open to receiving feedback from students on how technology resources are working and how people are finding things. So I hope to be able to bring him some good information. On November 10th, we had our technology committee meeting, and Matt and I also spoke to Sean. Matt and I spoke to Sean to talk about drafting a resolution so that tech resources are made more equitable across all campuses. And we had an additional tech committee meeting today. We have one new member that joined us. His name is David Fgerger. That was great. And then I have a meeting set up with Rachel and Mateusz for Friday. And our next tech committee meeting will be December 15th. And that's it.
Thank you very much. I move that we proceed to our advisors report. The chair recognizes Dr. Adams.
Good evening, all. I'm going to first defer to Mary. She has a comprehensive report, and then I'll add any additional notes.
Okay, hello, everyone. I wanted to follow up regarding the November 5th meeting with Fred Haberberger that Carmina just mentioned. I did receive an email from Fred just following up with some of the items that we talked, so I wanted to share that information. He was able to look into World Campus students' access to web labs. And basically, there is a little bit of a difference between World Campus students and on-campus students. The instructor needs to make the request to have it, the access to web labs for the specific class. And the form can be found on the remote teaching site. So general access that Penn State or, traditional students have, they don't have the access like on-campus students would have that. They are working on, in the future, being able to have more of an access for World Campus students, that is one of the goals that they're hoping to work on, and that he's going to keep us posted on that progress. He also let me know that there is an RFP, which is a request for proposal, for moving for a larger enterprise solution for delivering web labs. And it sounds like they're nearing a decision, but it's still in the discussion and decision phase. So he's going to keep us posted on that as well. In terms of Top Hat is available to all faculty, staff, and students, and more information can be found at tophat.psu.edu. And then finally, in regarding the proctoring, because I think there were some issues with Examity, right now there's also an RFP for the vendor for the proctoring. So basically, I guess Examity is one of the vendors that they're looking at. So once they decide which vendor they're going to go with, if it's not Examity, then what they would be doing is an onboarding process during the spring semester with an implementation during the summer semester. So that was the information that I had from him regarding just follow-up details for that. And then the other thing that I wanted to do was to review the election timeline process. And I was wondering if I could share my screen so that we could all look at it. I think it would make a little bit more sense if I can have a visual. Okay. Now it's saying the host disabled the participant screen sharing, but it's still not letting me select a screen.
Try now.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, so I wanted to review the election timeline. From the procedures from last year, I basically created the timeline based on what we had done last year, kind of keeping an eye for efficiency this year, and then working on maintaining consistency in the years to come for World Campus Student Government. So what I did was I broke it down into items that I thought would be best to have in place before the election process began. So when we're looking at this, there's sort of a description in this A column, and then a potential due date in the B column, and then whose responsibility it would be, and then some details. So some of the things that would be helpful to have before the election process begins next semester would be the Qualtrics nomination and acceptance forms, just making sure the forms are working, they're up to date for things that are coming for this year. And then to also have the communications for the non-winner emails, basically for people who go through the process, but then they don't get elected, helping them, bolster the momentum that's been generated and how they can stay involved with World Campus Student Government and committees. And then also the elected officials notification. So that would be including onboarding details, timelines, meeting responsibilities, dates for taking office. And then any marketing materials to promote the elections. We do have that infographic that Dr. Adams had worked on with marketing, but in terms of other additional information that we want to include in the newsletter and other things that we want to get out, we would want to have that finalized. And then finally, the campaigning instruction email. Last year, there were a lot of students that were calling, wondering how to go about campaigning. Some of them didn't know about the Student Access Center in Canvas, that sort of thing. So, the original idea was to have these things done, and then Dr. Adams would be able to review them. And then if any revisions needed to be made, there was a timeline for that. And then that would be sort of what would be completed during the fall semester. Dr. Adams would then be responsible for sending things to the marketing so that we would be ready for when the semester starts. And then currently we have the plans to have the nomination process be published and start being promoted the first week of the spring semester, which would be January 11th this year, or in January 2021. And then we would then follow up, because what happened last year is we had a lot of people being nominated, but not that many people were being accepted. So then I was able to make some phone calls to work on generating interest. We just want to build in the time for these kind of things. And then the due date for acceptance would be January 25th. And that would give our office the ability to do the appropriate amount of screening, making sure that they're World Campus standing, check their semester, and do a conduct check. And then on February 8th, we would post the qualified candidates. And that would be done on both the marketing and then the World Campus Student Government webpage. Campaigning would begin February 10th and would end the 19th. The election would begin on the 22nd of February and then end on March 5th. And then we would, and we have to think about this for future years, then spring break would happen. And then when students return from spring break, we would get the election results off to marketing, and there would be a few days so that we could make the announcements for, who was elected. The non-winners would be notified at the same time those who had won, and then we would have marketing announcements. So that we would be working towards the World Campus Student Government public meeting on March 23rd. And then we would also coordinate the onboarding meetings with Dr. Adams, and then if needed, a post-election debrief meeting. So that is the general timeline. I'm wondering if anyone has any questions or concerns.
Mary, just a note, the spring 2021 semester starts January 19th, not the 11th. It's been pushed back a week
Okay.
and replaced spring break. So
Okay.
we may need to push the timeline back a week, like shift the entire timeline a week because there's no longer a spring break. Or basically spring break is the first week of school, if you know, depending on how you think about it.
Okay.
I think, you know, for our student government leaders, you all may feel like you want us to start reviewing documents like 2 weeks ago, but yes, there's so much involved in your elections and there's so much administrative lift. So to appropriately support you in this work, you know, Mary and I Mary developed and I reviewed and supported her this timeline so that we really can ensure that the election is free and available and like executed well for the sustainability of the organization. So I think definitely getting some feedback from, like, noting that we're a bit behind this previously communicated timeline, but getting your agreement that you can complete those early tasks that need to be completed before next year. For example, no later than December 15th would be critical for us to communicate with all of the partners, our marketing partners, make sure the websites are updated so that you can kick off your election when the spring 2021 semester begins.
To provide you with an update, we do have all the Qualtrics forms and documentation for those November 9th dates already completed and compiled. So
I'm talking and I'm on mute. Okay, that's wonderful. Thanks so much for sharing that update. That's really helpful. And it sounds like all the dates have been changed and things like that, John.
yes, well,
Okay,
they were left blank so that it would be a
wonderful. Okay, so that's great. So now that we have that confirmed, Mary, what would be the next step then that the students would need to take action on?
Well, I will work on updating the timeline. And I think if we could get copies of those forms just so that we can start the review process, just to make sure everything's in place before the end of the semester would be ideal.
Yeah, I think I have access to them. They're just in Qualtrics. I'm assuming, Sean, you leverage the ones that we've always used. Is that accurate?
That is correct, but we did make some changes to update and reflect current information. So
okay, sounds good. So yeah, I'll take a look at them. And then if I have any updates, I can communicate that to you, Sean, in our standard meetings. And then what is, Mary, the step after the approval of those documents? Is that sharing that with marketing?
It would be sharing any marketing promotional items that we would just need to share that with Sydney, just so that we would be ready to get that out with the newsletter and the promotions that they have.
Okay, so for the Marketing Communications Committee, if there's any marketing or promotions you all plan to develop for your election next year, if you could share those with Mary by December 15th, that would be important so that we can make sure that they get included in the late December and early January newsletters. Those go out typically every other week, so that'll ensure that they get in there at least once, maybe twice before the election. Yeah, I think that seems like those would be. Are there any other next steps that students need to complete, Mary, before the semester ends, or is it just the marketing piece?
I think it would just be the marketing piece. I think without reading them, I think we do need to just think about the onboarding process, because I know last year, one of the things, just in terms of which each position needs to attend certain meetings and being able to identify those, but we do have a little bit more time to work on those communications, because we can also be tweaking those if needed during the election process, just so that we have those completed before, I would probably say, by the end of January.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and I think that for continuity purposes, and I think this is maybe something you have already started, but perhaps having a document that lists the different committees that different members typically sit on. I think that that's something that you all maybe started last semester. Does that sound familiar or accurate?
That was last year.
Last year.
At the end of the year, we compiled everything together, so we had it for continuity purposes.
Gotcha. Is that something the secretary keeps?
It's exec board.
Exec board. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Then I think Mary, it sounds like that document exists, and so that student leaders can update that when they're rolling off their positions this spring, or if they're re-elected on, they can they'll be knowledgeable of that, but also it'll be public so that it can be shared with new members. Wonderful. Thank you so much for the comprehensive report, Mary. So just a couple additional notes. I'm just so thrilled to hear the committee reports in particular. The work that you all are doing is active and engaged, and I'm really thrilled to hear that and see that. All of the reports that I've been getting from colleagues, and when just following up via email with Fred, he was thrilled to speak with our technology committee. So thanks for your continued advocacy and support of your constituents. I wanted to share with you that the end of the semester obviously is quickly approaching. And so some key things that the university is looking to sort of wrap up is thinking about return protocols for your colleagues or peers that'll be returning to campus in the spring, as well as really thinking a lot about a sophomore experience for all students, resident and online. If you started Penn State this semester, it was definitely a whirlwind and unlike anything that any first year student has ever experienced before. And so they're thinking about a sophomore experience, an opportunity to try to maybe re-engage and recapture the energy and attention of first year students who may have gotten lost in the shuffle, who may have been taking on campus and remote courses, or even our World Campus students who just feel disillusioned because there wasn't as much opportunity to engage and connect, to travel to campus for leadership conferences and things like that. So there's a committee forming for the sophomore experience. And I think it'll be really interesting to think about what that can look like, not just for this year's future sophomores, but for sophomores going on and on. So I think that that's really exciting. And then finally, I wanted to share that Danita Wright-Watson, the Associate Director in World Campus Student Affairs, is planning a number of programs. One is an inauguration watch party that'll happen on January 20th. And she's also working on a project called Project 1972 to commemorate Dr. Martin Luther King's legacy on his birthday, which I think is January 18th. So there's a number of programs being planned for the top of the year, specifically related to celebrating the sort of transition of country leadership, as well as the MLK legacy. So definitely all program plans for student affairs professionals were due on Monday, and we just have some really amazing programs coming out for spring. I'm so excited about them. So I look forward to sharing those with you, and feedback and engagement and partnership opportunities from the Student Engagement Committee is definitely something that I am looking forward to. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adams. I move that we proceed to our liaison report. The chair recognizes Justin.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope you guys all had a good holiday, and everyone's remaining safe in these troubling times. With all the spikes in cases going up, I hope you guys are all good. The Council of Commonwealth Student Governments recently met for our second fall council. During this time, we passed a total of 2 amendments, 1 resolution, and 5 different pieces of legislation. CCSG has affirmed the creation of our first standing educational equity committee, which we're really, really happy about. We supported the push made by the Climate Action to advocate that Penn State find more sustainable options and de-invest in fossil fuels. We've also supported a number of PA House bills that advocated for off-campus student rights. In addition to that, we also made a push to bring student legal services to the Commonwealth campuses, as it's a system that's eligible for University Park students. So we want to have that same system come to the Commonwealth campuses as well. In addition to that, as you've heard, we've been working with the Penn State Go app to try to bring more attention to student governments with the different tabs. And more recently, we've been working in a lot of committees, and we've been pushing for a lot of different things and for more Commonwealth rights. I'm personally sitting on a committee to choose the next assistant vice president of diversity and inclusion. And I think we've narrowed down our choices to about 3 different candidates. And I know we're reaching out to, I think, the Student Leader Roundtable to maybe get their perspective on a lot of things. So I know Sean and Stacy, you'll be hearing a lot from us about that in the coming weeks. But yeah, that's what we've been doing for the past few months. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Does anybody have any questions for Justin or anything? All right, I move that we proceed to new business. The chair recognizes Carmina.
Hi, I wanted to bring up the discussion about improving course design, online course design in the Strategic Communications Master's Program, which is a relatively new program. It's only been around 2 years. The feedback that I'm getting from my fellow students, and we're part of this group text. The whole program is in this group text by GroupMe, and there's been just a lot of comments regarding issues with the way the content is displayed, or it's missing, or other issues. And I was hoping Bonnie was here today, because I believe she's also working on something similar. Yeah, if anyone has any ideas about what's working, what's not working with your particular online courses, that would be great to hear, and I would love to be able to be part of making it better somehow. I know now with Top Hat that may motivate teachers to make the courses more interesting, more interactive. But yeah, I just thought that would be a good topic to discuss.
Just to provide some feedback, just particularly in what you just said with Canvas and such with learning design, there was a student that reached out to me to ask if we could look into a couple courses that were using Flash Player in Canvas to display video, which Flash Player is no longer, it's end of life. So I did forward that information to Bonnie, so I don't know where she was at with investigating that, but I know she was working closely with Jessica Brinkenary of the Advisory Board's Academic Affairs Committee to meet with learning design individuals. I also sent Bonnie a contact that I met the other day, Chris Millett, who is the Director of Learning Design. I'll get you that information here as soon as I can. So I know that is something she's working on. So I think there's some good collaboration there, at least to kind of swap notes and see what she knows and what they've been working on. But if anybody else has anything.
To reiterate that, I definitely think Carmina sharing, so one, writing a proposal, right, to bring it to this body so that it can be voted on and reviewed by your colleagues. And then if And then if approved and passed, then you can advance that proposal to a couple of professionals. So one would definitely be Chris Millay, who is the Director of Learning Design at the World Campus. But I also would recommend, if there are specific program concerns, like for example, the one you mentioned with the master's program, we can partner to share that with the online faculty lead. So every program has an online faculty lead, and typically they also have a online administrative lead, these are the people or persons who are responsible for online program facilitation development for each of our 130 degree programs. So my recommendation would be to go through the formal process of putting together a resolution. You can identify, in the resolution, you can specifically delineate certain programs or certain courses, or you can, and that's probably what I would recommend, because if you're too general, then it doesn't really get much traction, right? And it's not really sure where it should go. But if you have the most evidence from your from this master's degree program, that's where I would probably start. You can collect a couple of testimonies or points of information from your fellow students, right? Peers, of course, ask for their permission to use their words. And then present it to this body, and then we can advance that to Chris Millay and the faculty and administrative leave of that program. I think that it would have a lot of weight coming from the student government, but you definitely would want to make sure that it's reviewed by this body and voted on, that you all are in agreement before advancing.
Okay. And since this is the first time I'm writing a proposal, I don't know exactly what to ask for. So
there is a template. There is a resolution template. It outlines exactly kind of what you should include in a resolution. There's a section in the resolution, and it's sort of very formal, but to deformalize it, where you want to make an evidence base. So basically, you want to collect some feedback from your peers about why they think this, what their feedback is about the course. Is it, about the structure? Is it about the instruction? Is it about the technology? Is it about, you talked about missing information, identify the gaps in the program. You don't have to identify all of them. Maybe you identify 3, that some of your peers have highlighted in the group me. And obviously, there may be people in the group me who are very this, sharing their feedback, and there may be other people who are silent. You don't have to get a majority or anything. You just want to collect some feedback about what's working, what's not. And then you would include that in the resolution as evidence of, what you are proposing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then that'll just serve as some evidence of what your peers are sharing. And I think that what's likely is that, your peers in this group will be more likely to pass a resolution that has some evidence, right? That where you've provided, several people in this program has shared this, and it doesn't have to be a great majority. It doesn't have to be hundreds of students, but you just want to have some evidence of what you're sharing. Mm-hmm. And then, once it's voted on, and if it passes in this body, then you can officially say that it's a resolution by the student government, right? That the student government affirms that there are concerns, mm-hmm. right? And just, sorry, a little bit of a digression. Obviously, as an individual student or as a group of students in this group me, you all could always go to your, faculty leads and share this, but I think that it could have more, you can leverage your position within the student government to bring it to this body, to give it some more visibility, and then to take it to those partners. So that's a digression, but back to this body, you want to bring it here, get your peers' feedback, have them vote. If they vote to advance it and have it be a formal resolution from the student government, then I can assist you in advancing it to the director of instructional design, which instructional design unit may or may not design that program. But I think it's always good for him to know when there are student concerns about course development, because even if they didn't design the courses that you have concerns about, it's just general feedback that's helpful for them to know. But then of course, we certainly would want to advance that to the faculty lead and administrative lead. And as your advisor, I would want to be a part of that, advancing the concerns so that they know that I'm aware as well.
I mean, I just want to make the program better
Yeah.
and make it good for students. I hope that they don't take this the wrong way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it's your, that's what you were elected to do, right? To advance concerns of your constituents. And I think that's what you're doing. I'd be less concerned about how they take it and more concerned about like making sure you're doing the hard work of advocating, right? Like collect the feedback, write it in a formal proposal, bring it here to be voted on, and we'll sort out their feelings about it. But your job is to advocate, right? To advance concerns. So it sounds like you're well on your way to do that. And if you need some support in doing that, I'm happy to help.
Okay, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Welcome.
And Carmina, I mean, once you get to the point that you have some feedback and you're looking to kind of wordsmith it, let me know. We could set up a meeting, we can work through it. And then, as Dr. Adams says, she can advocate it from her side, but as well as the meetings that Stacy and I attend with senior leaders and the meetings that we have with our colleagues at the other student governments, because if we're experiencing problems, they may be experiencing those as well. So we can kind of collaborate and work that, work the advocacy out for that, so.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. The chair recognizes Mr. President.
Hi, everybody. Okay, so topic B here is the recruitment to fill vacancies. So if nobody is interested in the speaker position, then we're going to work incredibly expeditiously to fill that role, but also in doing so, if there are vacancies within committees, so Ricky has attendance records for those that come to these meetings, but for those that are not active in your committee, I'll be reaching out to the chairs to kind of see where you guys need extra support and extra help. And if there is a need for it, then we will also go about recruiting new committee members for the spring semester and kind of bundle it all together, get the marketing together and go from there. Like I said, we will be working expeditiously. So I think that's probably put it on a timeline of about a week to reach out to Joanna and see if anybody's interested. And then if not, we will proceed with moving from there. So just a heads up. I've heard from quite a few people that there are some interested people in joining that would like to join our student government. So I'm eager and interested to hear where we go with that. Topic C here is outreach initiatives. So a couple members of various student governments at the Commonwealth campuses have reached out to me specifically to set up like student engagement presentations and such to maybe give some tips and tricks to some of the campuses and their clubs and orgs on how to best engage in a virtual environment. And I'm looking forward to opportunities there. If anybody has any tips, tricks, ideas, anything that they would like to throw in, and we can make like kind of a master presentation that we can maybe share that they can review asynchronously, let me know. I think that's a great opportunity for student affairs. There's some academic affairs angles to that and the technology angle. So just something to think about. And then topic D here, starting January, once the semester kind of gets right back into the fold of things, I'd like to host a town hall here to kind of get some input at large from students at the World Campus. So we'll get some dates firmed up, and then Mateusz, I'll get with you and we can do some marketing and see where we can go with that to get some more feedback from our constituency. And that's all I have. But if anybody has any questions or comments on any of those topics, please let me know.
All right. I move that we proceed to old business. Is there any old business? All right. Any final comments for the good of the order?
Yes, I would like to congratulate you, Johanna, on graduation. I am so incredibly proud of you. It's been an honor to have you as a student leader. Um, I feel like I've been able and had the pleasure of like watching you grow as a student leader, step into this role and do it in excellence. I am so proud of you. I am so sad to lose you as a student leader, and I wish you well in all of your future endeavors. Whoever fills the speaker role will have big shoes to fill. Johanna was the inaugural speaker, and what a tremendous job that you did in this role. You paved the way for the inaugural student government and led every meeting with grace and discernment and direction. And I remember having a meeting with you when you first took on this role, and you were so nervous, but you did such an outstanding job. You are an exemplary student leader. And I can't say enough good things about you. I'm just so honored to have worked with you. I'm so honored that you gave so much of yourself, of your time, of your energy, of your expertise to the World Campus Student Government and to World Campus Student Leadership. The way that you show up as a student leader is exemplary. You are a model student, and I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited for you and all that's next for you. And I wish you well.
Thank you, Dr. Adams. I really appreciate that. And yes, I will say, stepping into this role, I wasn't really sure what was expected of me. So I can understand the hesitation and wanting to fill the vacancy and not really sure what exactly the role entails. But I will say it has been a really great experience to get to grow with a student government and kind of see how much we've changed from when we first started. And I remember even all meeting together for the very first time when we all met on campus, and we were all meeting virtually, and then we all got to meet together as an exec board and everybody else. And it was just such a great experience. And I really have treasured this year and a half and being in this role, and working through understanding the Constitution and hammering out the very minor details line by line with everybody. So, I really thank everybody for allowing me to step into this role for even a second term too, and getting to work with everyone. So thank you all so much.
And are there any other graduates? I'm not sure if there are any other December graduates, but I'd love to recognize you and just thank you for your service. So seeing none, I digress, but I'm so excited for all that's next for you, and thanks for serving so well.
Yeah, I certainly cannot speak as eloquently as Dr. Adams, but I really do appreciate all the work, and I'm so glad that you came back for a second term. Definitely wouldn't have been able to do it without you. I always appreciated those, hey, do we have a meeting tonight text? It was always fantastic, and I really appreciated the time and the service that you've done for the World Campus, and I look forward to what you're going to do, and if you decide to come back and get your PhD, maybe you'll be speaker again. So,
hey, if the position's still open, I'll be back.
But thank you. I really appreciated it.
Thank you very much. Any last minute or additional comments before we close for this evening?
I'll just follow up with that as well. I mean, I just think about sitting on the grass out at, was it Berks?
Yeah.
Yeah, sitting out of the grass at Berks, all trying to come up with the logo and, 5 or 6 a.m. yoga, and everybody just, having lots of fun. And even up until like the last minute, me harassing you with emails about agenda stuff. So just thank you.
Thank you. It's been great working with everybody. All right. Well, sorry.
I just want to say congratulations and thank you for your service. You have done a wonderful job being our speaker for our student government. So I appreciate everything you have done for us. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, and with that, I move that we adjourn the meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. The meeting of the World Campus Student Government Association is adjourned at 8:54 p.m. Eastern. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening and a great holiday, and good luck on finals.
See you next year.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.